What's going on, everybody? Thank you all for joining me today. I am very glad, happy, and excited to have Vlad from VT Politics on the show today. Vlad, how you doing, man?
Good. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. I can't wait to get into this discussion. There's so many different angles that we can attack the SAVE Act debate from. There's so many different ways that we can approach it. But I want to start here because a lot of people don't know about this story that broke. I want to say it was a few weeks ago, where down in Alabama, 3,251 non-citizens were removed from the voter rolls in Alabama. And Alabama is a red state. So you can only imagine how bad it is in a place like California, where I'm located. I want to pull that video up first. Let's watch this, unpack it, and then just give me your thoughts on what you see happening in Alabama concerning this story.
Yeah, Margo, when I asked Secretary Allen how these people got registered to vote in the first place, he couldn't give me a clear answer just yet, saying it was still being investigated. But when he gave me a breakdown of how many there were in each county, the numbers were glaring. This is a list from Secretary of State Wes Allen of how many non-citizens were registered to vote in our counties. The state found 3,251 people. 742 of them were from North Alabama.
We got the information. We cross-checked it against our centralized data file here in the state of Alabama and found those 3,200 individuals.
The information he's talking about are people with alien registration numbers. Those are issued to immigrants who intend to live in this country permanently and have already applied for a green card. However, you're not eligible to vote with just an alien identification number. When I asked Allen how 3,000 plus were able to register in the first place, he couldn't give me the answer.
But it's our belief that only American citizens should be allowed to vote. Non-citizens, whether they're legal or illegal immigrants, cannot register to vote. It's a federal offense.
To vote here,
I can't highlight enough, like I did prior to the video playing, that Alabama, this is a red state, and they can't even explain how 3,000 plus non-citizens got on the voter rolls. You can only imagine how out of control it is in blue states like Illinois, New York, and California, where they're not even trying to get this under wraps. What do you think about this story here?
So the way they actually do it is actually, it's quite simple, and I've seen this personally in my life. I'm here up in Washington State. I'm an immigrant, right? Legal immigrant, but I'm an immigrant. Came here, I was 6 years old. Proud citizens for over like 18 years now. But when the war in Ukraine began, my wife is originally from Ukraine. She's been here for almost 20 years. Her brother and sister-in-law escaped the war. They came here on a 3-year visa, or until the war's over, whichever comes first. Now, they came here April of 2022. It was 4th of July, 2022. We're out camping. We're sitting by the bonfire, and my brother-in-law says, look, our elections in Ukraine are corrupt. He's like, but yours are just ridiculous. And I'm looking at him like, what do you mean? He's like, yeah, anyone can vote. What do you mean? He's like, we got ballots. This was right before the midterm election. Him and his wife, who don't have social security numbers, no green cards, nothing. They're here on a war refugee, limited time status visa. They got ballots in the mail. Who registered them? We don't know. The Secretary of State did. Moving on a year and a half later, this was, or actually a couple of years later, this was last year. I know another guy, my uncle, who came here from Ukraine. After the war started, he got shot in the heart. They barely saved him. So he came here for medical attention. While he's here, he's working on it's a box truck, just moving fruits, vegetables across the country. But he was in Florida. He wanted to transfer his driver's license to Washington State. I took him to the DMV to translate. And so they're asking him very random questions. Your eye color, are you a twin? And I'm translating all this, and she looks at me and says, ask him if he wants to vote in our elections. I look at her. I don't even translate to him. I tell her, ma'am, he's not even a permanent resident, let alone a citizen. She looks me dead in the eye and says, I need him to answer. I translate to him. He looks at her with a very thick accent and goes, yes, we vote for Trump. She was pissed. because Russians, Ukrainians, we're conservative, right? We like, I'll meet every now and then someone that votes left, and we're like, you're one of the retarded ones. But how do they do it? They have many ways to do it. The secretaries of state, they on the down low, I mean, they're registering people without people's knowledge, right? That dog in California, Nick Shirley exposed a dog. A dog was registered and voted in 2 elections. So they have a lot of different ways to go about, and the way to get rid of that is to pass the SAVE Act, get rid of mail-in voting, and get rid of the machines.
Absolutely. If you want to know how ridiculous it is as far as California goes, when the special election passed concerning, the redistricting of the maps, we all know what Gavin Newsom is trying to do here, or it looks like he's going to end up doing it, because unfortunately, they did give the power to Gavin Newsom to do that. I explained to, the viewers at the time who don't live in California just how easy it is for literally anybody to walk up and vote. I go into the voting center and I tell them my name. They say, "What's your name? What's your address?" "Oh, my name is TD. I live at such and such address." They turn the screen around and they go, "So this is you?" I say, "Yes, that's me." And she goes, "Okay, just confirm." I confirm. Here's your ballot. Literally anybody could have came in and said they were me. They weren't going to confirm it with any type of photo ID, let alone confirming your citizenship. Anybody could have just came in for me and voted on my behalf. You can only imagine how many people that are deceased that are still voting under a system like this, where you don't have to prove that you are who you say you are. Once again, that's not even counting whether or not you're actually showing proof of citizenship. It's just proof that I am who I say I am, which is completely ridiculous out here in California. And what I want to pivot to next is I want to play this clip here from Ilhan Omar, because from this point moving forward, I want to show you guys the loopholes in place in Minnesota that allows non-citizens to vote. We're going to unpack that next. But first, look at Ilhan Omar's reaction when the SAVE Act originally passed in the House. We all know that she loves to fearmonger and to get into all of the hysteria about how bad everything is, because conservatism, Trump, can do nothing right and everything is apparently corrupt and racist. But take a listen to what she had to say here initially when the SAVE Act was passed.
Hey everyone, just coming back from votes. Not only did Republicans move forward with passing legislation to cut Medicaid for seniors and people with disabilities and SNAP programs, but they also voted on the SAFE Act to make sure effectively, if you are a woman, you are married, you changed your name, and it doesn't match what is on your birth certificate, you are not going to be able to vote. If you are disabled and you can't physically get to an office to register, you are no longer going to be able to register online. This is not about creating election integrity. It is about disenfranchisement and choosing who can vote and who cannot. And it is really important that we create access for every citizen in this country to have the ability to cast their ballot. So I voted no.
Very simple question, Vlad. Why is Ilhan Omar and the Democrat Party so afraid of fair elections?
They won't win. Number one, they can't win on the crap that they run on. That's number one. Number two, legal citizens, right, will not vote for them. Legal citizens who did it the right way, who are now, they're citizens, they would not vote for them. So they would lose their seats. They would lose Congress, Senate, we're not even talking about the presidency. They're cooked. This is why they have to do what they're doing. Gerrymander, mail-in ballots, these machines. The reason they had to do all that was because they cannot win. They just cannot win. You can't win on taxing people more. Plus, look, who the hell is even this Ilhan Omar? How the hell is she not deported yet? She married her own brother. People, and I will say this, if you come to the United States and you wear hijab, and you want to be a Muslim, take that indoors, shut the door. I don't want to see it. This is a Christian nation. We were founded on Christian principles. We will never be an Islam nation. Practice your faith. I was born in a Muslim nation, Muslim majority nation of Kyrgyzstan. Guess what? We weren't going around and praying to Jesus in the streets. We'd be beheaded. You do that at home. And so they come here. They take advantage of of this nation. They fly their flags. They can't win like that. Mass majority of America is against pushing LGBT, trans, taxing everybody to oblivion, and having mass immigration. Even I, as an immigrant, understand the dangers of mass immigration, especially if it's illegal, unvetted immigration. So that's why they have to do what they're doing, because they cannot win free and fair. And it got so bad that they are colluding with other globalist nations.
Now, going back to Ilhan Omar's Minnesota, I want to show you all this here. Let me pull this X post up first. Check this out, and let me read this to you guys. Democrats passed driver's license for all. Democrats blocked a not for voting indicator on those licenses. I want to read that again. Democrats blocked a not for voting indicator on those licenses. Democrats passed automatic voter registration tied to driver's licenses. Democrats admitted those licenses could be used for voting. Not a fluke, it's by design. I want to play this clip here from the Minnesota House of Representatives, where essentially all of this is admitted. It's mind-blowing because they're just telling it all in plain sight. They're not even hiding it. Check this video clip out here.
It's done.
A packed room at the St. Paul Armory erupted after the governor's signature made driver's license for all the law of the land.
So we give driver's licenses to anyone here. You don't have to be a citizen. You don't have to, which is a photo ID. So if someone comes in, they register, they have the driver's license, but they have an incorrect social or no social or whatever. So then they become incomplete. But if they walk in to vote with their driver's license, does that make them all of a sudden now okay?
Mr. Linnell.
Madam Chair, so the designation on the roster for someone whose registration had been incomplete, if they present the election judge with that acceptable identification document, that would clear the challenge from the roster and they would be permitted to cast a ballot.
Mr. Anderson.
Well, okay, there's your problem potentially. So thank you.
So just to clarify, someone who is not a citizen but presents a driver's license at that point in the process could be permitted to vote.
Madam Chair, at the time of registration, as well as at the time of submitting a ballot, every voter is signing the attestation affirming their eligibility to vote, including that they meet all eligibility requirements, that they are a U.S. citizen.
Now, I want to play another clip from the same committee meeting in which the original woman that spoke doubled down just for confirmation that you're telling me with this loophole, non-citizens can vote. He's pretty much already confirmed it, but I want to double down on confirming it just in case people think this is a bit of a stretch and we're reaching. Check this out here.
Answer to my question is yes. Under that scenario, someone they get their driver's license, again, because we give them to anybody here. They register to vote. It doesn't match with the social security number, so they're flagged, but they come in as long as they have an ID, which is that driver's license, and they sign that they're, eligible to vote, they can vote. And they're then no longer flagged. They're on the system. Is that correct?
Mr. Linnell.
Madam Chair, if I could add and maybe stepping back from those that are flagged as CID on the roster, for anyone that's presenting documentation to register to vote, that is affirmation of their identity. The driver's license has not been used as proof of citizenship for the purposes of registering to vote. It's affirming that they are who they say they are. So right. In any of these cases where someone were to cast a ballot if they were ineligible to vote, there are also reports that are generated post-election for voters that are challenged that counties will run to show status of voters that had been updated due to the fact that they've now cast a ballot that can be reviewed and referred to the county attorney.
Okay, so the answer is yes to my question.
Basically, the answer is yes. And when you're listening to what he's explaining here, he's talking about corrections made post-election. But at that point in time, it's too late already. The election's over, and whoever won is the winner. This highlights how important it is to not just have voter ID and just a blanket set of me proving that I am who I say I am, but we need that confidence of citizenship. It needs to not just simply be a voter ID, but it's a proof of citizenship attached to it as well. Because I'm sure, as you know, out here in California where I am, just like in Minnesota, anybody can get a driver's license. You don't need any paperwork, Social Security, anything. You can literally cross the border tomorrow. You make it here to Los Angeles. That's where I'm located. You go to the DMV, you're good to go, So even with a very kind of lax voter ID law that doesn't have proof of citizenship, anybody can pull out that ID and say, hey, I'm here to vote, just like they can clearly do in Minnesota. So once again, I just want to reiterate the importance of that proof of citizenship. When you're watching this here, are you surprised at all? Not of the loophole, but just the simple fact that this is being admitted out loud and they don't seem to be worried about this at all.
Who's going to stop them? This is the big problem. They are doing it because they know they can get away with it. Look at all the proof we have of 2020, then the fake Russia collusion after 2016. The Bernie Sanders stole the election. Hillary Clinton, they rigged the primary from Bernie Sanders. This is proven. And we haven't seen mass arrests yet, I believe. I believe Maduro was, they needed him alive. He's the guy that, he's going to tell and he's going to give out a lot of information. And President Trump already did signal that Maduro's talking. But the reason that they're able to do this is they feel untouchable. Who's going to stop them? Look at the corruption in Congress and Senate. I believe if everything goes the way it should, we're going to find out almost half of the Republicans who are MAGA, with all their campaign ads pro-Trump, they're bought off. How is the SAVE Act not been passed yet? How did we not nuke the filibuster yet? The country is like the fate of the Republic hangs on these issues, and the Republicans are doing absolutely nothing. So I believe until accountability, real accountability, and I say this jokingly, but I wish Trump would turn into a dictator for the next 3 years. You want to do this? Boom, just arrest you. Right? Just go and have these people arrested and just thrown in prison. They keep screaming he's a dictator, he's a king. Give them what they're asking for. Give them what they do. Become what they are saying you are. And have all these people arrested. And look, when you are, especially if you're colluding with a foreign nation to undermine the will of we the American people in a duly elected government, that is high crime and treason, punishable by death. That's what the Constitution says. That has never been annulled from the Constitution. Yes, we stopped doing that, but the Constitution still says that's how you go about treason. When was the last time we tried someone for treason? It's been a while. And I think it's time. I really think it's time, because I've been to, I've been to Lagos, Nigeria, spent a couple of weeks in Africa. I've been to Germany and Asia and like Eastern Europe. If America falls, we're cooked. There's nowhere else to go. And, they understand they can't beat the United States via military or invasion. Even if the whole world and NATO win against America, man, I'm not worried. So what they want to do is kill our youth with fentanyl and destroy us from within via Mamdani, Newsom, Ilhan Omar, Talib, and all these other people who are foreigners like me, but unlike me, they put other nations first. Like if a war broke out tomorrow, even between United States and Kyrgyzstan, where I was born, guess which side I'm on? The United States. Go ask them, which side are you fighting for? So I think the answer is in hold people accountable. I do know that Trump, there are rumors and leaks coming out of his administration. He wants to sign a declaration of emergency when it comes to our elections. He wants to, like really go in, and he has the power to do that. He has the power to declare an emergency over our elections. I think that's the route to go. I think that's what needs to happen. Sign an executive order declaring a national emergency when it comes to elections. Have the federal government, like the DOJ, FBI, DHS. I trust Tulsi Gabbard. She's doing amazing work. Go in, investigate every state, blue state, swing state, red state. Everyone needs to be investigated and audited. Clean up the elections, and if someone did something wrong, they should go to prison.
I agree with you 1,000%, especially when we're talking about why in the world hasn't the SAVE Act been passed yet, right? We have the House and the Senate. If the Republicans were doing what they're supposed to do, they should have been passed already, especially when you're talking about, 80% if not 90%, I believe, of the nation believe in having voter ID proof of citizenship. That's a slam dunk. And the fact that that's just hanging in the air still this close to the midterms, because it's going to be, midterm before you know it, and historically speaking, Democrats would try to say, oh, look, the people are rejecting Trump. That's not true. Historically speaking, like 95% of the time, the president, the party that wins the election loses either the House or the Senate. They never maintained a trifecta. I believe the last time a trifecta was maintained throughout the entirety of one presidency was Jimmy Carter, if I remember correctly, because I looked it up once before. And we're talking about 40 plus years ago now was the last time that actually happened. But, if that maintains and history continues on as we know it too, that the Republicans will lose the trifecta, well, then we can forget about the SAVE Act completely going into the election of 2028. And who knows how things just collapse from there. You know what I mean? Especially given how eager, and I should say the word is desperate, Democrats are to hold on to power. Because like you're saying, realistically speaking, if the voter rolls were genuinely cleaned and it was only legal American citizens voting, nobody supports the kind of foolishness that they're proposing. They don't propose anything that actually moves the nation forward and helps, just be honest, help us keep a little bit more money in our pocket. All they do is take and destroy, take and destroy, take and destroy. Dems know that their number is up. And to be honest with you, the fact that even Republicans are able to win an election currently now with as much as Democrats cheat is actually very much so like a miracle when you know the degree to which they cheat and the fact that Republicans can still win an election. But just going back to the desperation that Democrats are in right now, who knows what they'll do and the lengths they will go to cheat to get back into office, to make sure none of this ever comes to light, or I should say to make sure that none of this ever passes as it pertains to the SAVE Act, right? We could be possibly missing a golden moment, and it's very frustrating, but I mean, we'll have to see where things go from there. But this is very critical. This is key. The SAVE Act has to pass. If it does not pass, I don't know where we go from here. I really don't. I really
I'll
don't.
tell you this, in maybe 10, maybe 20 years, maybe sooner, they're going to make a movie about the 2024 election.
Mhm.
From again, I know people, General Flynn, I know people that served under him who are very well connected to the White House, who or like our intel services. 2024 was a wrap for Kamala Harris. It was done. Everything was in place. God came through. They got scared and they churned off their routers. That's a story for another time. But on the morning of the election, exactly what they did in 2020, everything was ready to go. They were way better prepared. But they had to churn off the routers because of the threats that they received, that if you do this, we will put these people in front of cameras and live stream what they have to say to the world. And the people that they threatened them with have a big bounty by the deep state on their heads. And somebody close, like, and Elon Musk, even why he predicted that, Trump, he knew that this was going to happen. Then he started like going across the nation talking, like, we have to win this election, or it's the last election. We have to win. And then 4 hours or 5 hours before the election, the polls even close, he's like, Trump's going to win. How did you know? People are like, well, because he's a genius and like he did math. No. He played his role in this too. It's wild how God came through. And one day they'll make a movie about 2016, 2020, and 2024, the greatest comeback besides Jesus' resurrection. That's the greatest comeback in human history.
Absolutely. Well, Vlad, I want to thank you for joining me today, man. I appreciate the time that you gave me. Once again, if you guys want to subscribe to Vlad's channel, it's VT Politics. The link will be in the description box below, and it'll be in the pinned comment section as well. Thank you guys for your time, and until the next video, peace and have a great afternoon.